So in this exercise, we will run some queries on top of Elasticsearch cluster. But before we can run the queries, we need to have some data indexed in our cluster. Now, to do that, we will create a fictitious dataset for various courses offered by a university and load all those courses using a command called bulk request. And we will learn that request as well as part of the exercise. So in order to do this exercise, let's open the terminal, go to chapter queries. Here you have one example. Open this example. Now you can see there are 4 different files. Okay, as of now we are concerned about a file called courses and bulk load. Okay, so let's open courses.json. This file has the data which we want to load into Elasticsearch, and it's in a specific format. This format is called bulk request. So it's very easy to understand. Each record has 2 lines. Okay, first line says what to do with that record, and the second line is the record itself. So here we are saying create this record in index university and type course, and the record values are given in the next line. And just a little bit about the data we are adding. So we have a course ID, we have course name, skills. We are also storing course start date, duration, and the fees. Okay, there are about 11 records we added. Uh, so let's index these records into Elasticsearch. Now to index them, we need to use the other file, which is bulk load courses.sh. There are 3 steps in which this is done. So first we will create the index, which is university. Then we will create a mapping on our type, which is course under index university. Okay, so here we are specifying that start date should follow the date format, and this uh, field should not be analyzed, which means that Elasticsearch should store it as it is. It should not split the days, months, and year into different uh, data items. Okay. The default behavior is index analyze, which means that uh, word in the sentence will be stored in its root form, and that's called analyzing. So we discussed about it in our previous lessons. Um, so I will not cover that here again, but for now you just need to understand we don't want date to be indexed by Elasticsearch. Otherwise, we will not be able to search based on a specific date in this format. All right. So this is the mapping. Okay. So we have put mapping on start date, course ID, duration, and fees. And lastly, we are loading the data. Okay. To load the data, it's a post request because the index is already created, and uh, the request is it's a bulk request. Okay. It will load all the data in file courses.json. Okay, and we have this tag called a data binary, which means load this data in binary format. Okay. So let's run this file. Okay, so we got some response back. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, so the first statement, which was to create the index, is true. So index is created. Then there was no error, and uh, it added all the records. Here you can notice one thing, that the ID is not the something we discussed in earlier lessons, like 1, 2, 3 in the simplest form, because there we were passing the ID with the document. Here we didn't pass the ID. We can do that, but we did not pass the ID. So Elasticsearch will assign a unique ID to each document by itself. So that's why you can see all these long strings against ID of the document. Okay, and you are getting a response status 201, which means this particular document, the first record is created, then the second record is created, so and so. We can check if these records are created or not, and we can do that in our browser using head plugin. So let me bring the browser. Okay, so you can see university index is created. It has 11 documents in it. Okay, so far we are good with data creation. Okay, since the data is now indexed in Elasticsearch, we are all set for our next exercise where we will run some search queries on our cluster. So let's move to the next exercise.